Like the lesson here is sometimes you will go through things not because you're a bad person, you're a good person, but because you were supposed to save the next person from it. I'm not saying go and be Black the Builder in every single situation, but sometimes you're generally the one person equipped to stop someone from going through whatever circumstance or situation you want them in. You know you're there to be their saving grace and their light. Hello, welcome to Sihle's 2 Cents. My name is Sihle Simelane. Sihle's 2 Cents is about South African film and theatre reviews, my thoughts, opinions, and lessons that I pick up from all of them. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, tell people, bring people on. Thank you for your support thus far. I really do appreciate it. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Welcome to season 1, episode 4. In today's episode, we're going to be reviewing a film called Maru A Pula. I'm going to put the meaning down here. And the genre is drama, crime. You can find it on DSTV Catch Up Now. I'll also put in the description box where else you can watch this film if ever you're interested. It is directed by Sam Liburu. The synopsis is as follows. When a disgraced detective searches for a missing girl, he finds a lot more than he bargained for. The protagonist of this film is Tumelo, which is played by Kagiso Ratebe, and he has a wife, which is played by Umbalenhle Zakwe, called Ubusisiwe, or he calls her Nini. It starts off with a news report about a missing young girl who's 6 years old, and they're interviewing the mother. And the mother's name Upriti, which is played by Didimalang Mukhai, and then the grandmother or the mother of Priti is Udon, which is played by Cleopatra Muhai, and then Usipo, which is played by Ishmael Songo, is the boyfriend. I say boyfriend because I'll explain what I mean. So the film starts off with an interview of Priti. Priti's distraught, obviously her daughter is missing. The police are trying to investigate. So Priti and Don decide, okay, we're gonna go to Tumelo's house. Now when you get into Tumelo's house, guys, it's cold. One thing they did well, I will put the cinematographer's name down here. He killed shot angles. Literally, it gave crime, drama, kidnapping. It gave what it was supposed to give. At some point I was like, it has thriller elements that exist within it, and I liked this movie because it was to the point. Like, it got to its story. There's a girl, she's kidnapped, there's a climax, there's an end. It didn't waste my time or their time. So back to what I was saying, Dawn and Priti go to Sipo. Like, Sipo, we need your help, our daughter's missing. And you know what it feels like because your daughter was kidnapped and you never found her. So he's like, I'm not going to do this. This is triggering. This is traumatizing. And Nini looks at him and she's like, you're taking the job. You're taking the job for every little girl, but most especially for our girl who was never brought back. I do not want any parent to feel the pain and suffering that I'm feeling. So you're going to take this job whether you like it or not. Because it turns out he used to be a cop and he broke the rules because I think he did things off the record. You know, they don't really go into depth with that whole story. But when we find him, he's now a private detective who is finding things about men who cheat. And it turns out his latest client was someone that Priti used to have an affair with and knew he was married for 2 years, which is also the mayor of the community. But his role is fundamental in terms of, you know, us understanding that he was used as bait, but he really basically did nothing in the film in terms of the kidnapping that existed. Anyway, so they're now trying to investigate this whole thing, and Tumelo goes to the home the next morning because they came to them at night. He goes to the young girl's home. Her name's Lolo. He goes to Lolo's home and he's like, this is weird. There's no dolls. There's no any representation that there was once ever a child. So he goes back to his wife and he's like, yo dude, I think the mother is involved in this child's kidnapping, right? He says, I think the mother is involved in the child of the kidnapping. And she says, why? He's like, because when I was there was no representation of anything, no toy, no coloring book, that there was ever a child that stayed in that place. Now, strangely enough, in the beginning of the film, Nini and Tumelo's marriage man, it's cold. You can tell it's cold. Even the way they positioned it, you can tell, Guti, hey, it's not cute. Yeah, it looks like it's been cold for a really long time. But him doing this case brings them together, and I think it was solely from her part more especially. You know, she was like, okay, I miss my husband. And I think because he listened to her by taking this case, and he was determined to find Ulolo for the sake of his marriage and his child who is still missing, you know, who I think also passed on. I don't really want to say that because I was struggling to find that, you know. So as he's investigating this, Utumela also starts getting threatened. He gets threatened by the mayor when he goes to the house because he went there to find out about Pretty and their relationship and how it was like, and if he ever met Lolo or not. And he was, you know, chased out very abruptly, and then he ends up getting threatened by a former colleague who's a detective. So he's like to him, dude, I'm telling you to drop the case, be careful. This is where Sipho comes in. Sipho goes to Dumelo and Nini's house and he's like, yo, I have information on who kidnapped Lolo. So he tries to distract him, yes, by sending him to the mayor. But the mayor's like, dude, I have nothing to do with this. Then Sipho calls a lady whose face we don't see. We only see the bottom part of we only see the bottom half of her face. And when we see the bottom half of her face, I mean, obviously we're all asking ourselves, who could it be? And it turns out it was the grandmother. The grandmother and Sipho plotted it together because, let me rewind. There's a point where Pretty records a YouTube video and she's like, I need help for a private investigator. He's charging us money because the cops are not helping us. People send them money. And as they send the money, she's withdrawing the money, she's counting it on the bed. Her mom, Dawn, walks in and she's like, where did you get so much money? She's like, no, it's the money for the private investigator. She's like, you know what, let's leave the private investigator because also earlier they had a fight with Dumelo. And he was like, you guys are playing me. What mess have you gotten me into? Because they've been threatening him. They shot bullets by his house. You know, luckily no one got hurt. And he's like, you guys are putting me, you know, like what's going on? And then the mom's like, dude, we left Dumelo, so let's move on with our lives. And Pretty's like, dude, that's my daughter. Not this woman manipulating her own daughter. She's like, yeah, but I feel like Lolo would have wanted us to move on and use this money to get ourselves food and live a better life. Pretty's like, whose child? Whose baby? Pretty then starts getting suspicious. So they drop another hint for us where Dawn buys groceries, places it on what looks like a dustbin. Sipho takes it and goes to a specific location, and by this time we all know it's okay. The grandmother is the one that kidnaps. Pretty calls the cops. The cops get there very quickly after Dumelo finds Lolo. So Dumelo eventually found Lolo, calls his wife, yo, I found her, and life is grand. They basically, Dumelo and Nini take Lolo in, expected, and then Pretty goes, and that's how the movie ends. The lessons that I picked up, they were testing his patience, like Dumelo specifically, you know, was testing his patience. You know, so I'm Christian, I believe in God. So if you believe in any higher power, you don't believe in any higher power. So the lessons that I picked up, I'm a Christian, I believe in God. So for me, this is a God context in a way. So if you believe in any higher power, if you believe in the universe, if you believe in all the different higher powers or religions that exist, if you want to apply it according to that, please feel free. This is no offense to anyone, and I hope you can understand that. can only speak from it and of it from a religion that I am a part of, you know. So it was sort of like God was testing him, you know, because like the lesson for me was he like, I feel like it hadn't even been a year his daughter was kidnapped, same age, you know, 6 years old, and now he's one of the community people goes through the same thing, and they come to him looking for help, and he has to swallow all of his pain, all of his trauma, all of the messes that he's been through, and be like, I'll help you. Not for me, but because I know what the pain feels like, you know. I feel like the lesson here is sometimes you will go through things not because you're a bad person, you're a good person, but because you were supposed to save the next person from it. I'm not saying go and be Bob the Builder in every single situation, but sometimes you are genuinely the one person equipped to stop someone from going through whatever circumstance or situation you've once been in. You know, you're there to be their saving grace and their light, you know. And I think another lesson that I picked up was people will do anything for money. I mean, we saw this in episode 2 or back in episode 4. It looks like our events for now are heading into money territory, you know. And I think if anything, we need to know, I will reiterate, easy money does not exist. I think it's important to understand where you are as a person. You know, the third lesson for me was Lolo's mom could have kept Lolo and been like, no, she's my daughter, she's back home. But Lolo, one, didn't want to go back. And two, she knew that she doesn't have the financial capability, the emotional or mental capability to support her daughter. I'm not saying it's wrong or it's right, but it is justified. I am personally not a mom. I do not know how it feels. I cannot comment too much on that, but I do know that sometimes you need to know how far you can go in life and how much you need to step back and let the next person step in. I think it's also still very scary that this is someone's reality. Someone's daughter right now is missing, and I'm absolutely and terribly sorry. I continue to pray that the situation in South Africa with kidnapping and extorting girls, you know, stops, because it is scary. But nonetheless, I would say watch this film. It's definitely not a waste of your time. It's an eye-opener. It's to the point, and if anything, I hope I help you see the things that you need to see, and you take the lessons that I have spoken into your life and you apply them. Thank you. Yeah, this was a bit serious, you know, but nonetheless, thank you so much once again for your support. I appreciate it so much. I will see you next time on Sihle to Cents. Bye.